Hello everybody, this is the chemistry exam review worksheet for grade 8 semester 4 at the International School of Innovation. Let's start with some notes you have to study about the chemical reactions. A chemical reaction is transformation during which reactants they disappear and the new products of different nature they appear. So the signs that a chemical reaction occur are change of color, release of gas, formation of precipitate, and release or absorption of heat. These are the four main signs of a chemical reaction. First, we have change of color, release of gas, formation of precipitate, and the absorption or the release of gas. A reaction that occurs with heat release, increase in temperature, is called an exothermic reaction, while a reaction that occurs with heat absorption, meaning that decrease in the temperature, is called an endothermic reaction. A reaction that occurs without heat exchange is called an athermic reaction. So we have three. We have exo, increase in temperature, heat release; endothermic, heat absorption and decrease in temperature is called endo; and we have reaction that occurs without heat exchange is called an athermic reaction. A reaction is spontaneous. 1. If it doesn't require any outer input. It doesn't require any interference from the outside. So this reaction is called a spontaneous reaction. While a non-spontaneous reaction is a reaction that occurs after the input of some heat, light, electricity, and some other conditions. Chemical equation. According to the law of Lavoisier, nothing is created, nothing is destroyed, all is transformed, which means that there is an equal amount of matter before and after the chemical reaction, meaning that the mass of the reactants is equal to the mass of the products. Types of chemical reactions. We have four main types. Mainly there are three. One of them is divided into two parts. We have synthesis, we have decomposition reaction, single displacement, and we have a double displacement. Decomposition, the reactant decomposes into two or more elements or compounds. Example about this is XY. By this reaction decomposes into X plus Y. Synthesis, the opposite. We have X plus Y, they combine together, they mix together to give one product which is the XY. So this is called synthesis reaction. Single displacement, only one element replaces another element. For example, E plus XY, so Y comes to here, so it's EY plus X, or you can make EX plus Y the same according to different reactions. This is the single displacement reaction. We have double displacement reaction from its name double, so two elements replace each other, they are substituted. EF plus XY, so Y comes to here and F comes in the opposite direction, so becomes EY plus XF. A reaction is instantaneous occur once the reaction come in contact. So instantaneous, we have precipitate formation, action of acids on certain metals, and neutralization reaction. A slow reaction is the one that progresses with time. The kinetic factor influencing the rate of a reaction, the speed increases by increase of the concentration of the one of the reactants. This one, the speed increase in the temperature, higher temperature, and we have the addition of a catalyst. Catalyst is a substance that speeds up the chemical reaction without being consumed at the end of the reaction. Let's start with the exam review worksheet. Sulfur. Sulfur in its natural form is a tasteless, odorless, light yellow solid. Sulfur compounds found in dairy products and eggs are essentially dietary ingredients. Carbon sulfide, CS2, is a colorless, extremely volatile and flammable compound. It's used as a solvent for oils and fats. 1. Carbon disulfide is obtained by heating of carbon with sulfur. You have to write the word equation. Word equation: carbon plus sulfur gives carbon sulfide or carbon disulfide. Carbon disulfide. Okay, write the balanced equation of the reaction. We have sulfur S plus carbon C gives CS2. So simply you have to multiply S by 2 in order to be balanced. Indicate the type of this reaction. As you see, the two mix to give one product is called synthesis reaction, or you can say, for example, it's called combination reaction. Give one use of carbon disulfate. One use of carbon disulfate, it's used as a solvent for oils and fats. This is one, it's mentioned here. Give two physical properties of sulfur. Sulfur is tasteless and sulfur is mainly known as odorless. One is a volatile and flammable. You can say, for example, tasteless, and it has yellow solid, light yellow solid. This is the physical properties that mentioned here in the text. Hydrogen sulfide H2S is a gas that has a similar smell to the rotten eggs. It can be prepared by the action of hydrochloric acid on a metal sulfide, such as aluminium sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide can be prepared according to the following unbalanced chemical equation. This we did most of the parts, we solved most of the parts. The sum of the parts indicate the type we mentioned. If one use is mentioned in the text, and give use of the properties is mentioned also in the text. Here we're gonna move to the reaction. Write the word equation of this reaction. Word equation, they said we have Al2S3. So this is aluminium sulfide. So aluminium sulfide plus HCl hydrochloric acid gives AlCl3. It's aluminium chloride plus H2S hydrogen sulfide. Balance the above chemical reaction. So let's write it first. Al2S3 plus HCl gives AlCl3 plus H2S. Let's balance this reaction. Al2, how many L do we have? Here we have 2. Here we have only 1, so we have to multiply this by 2. How many sulfur do we have? Here we have 3. Here we have only 1, so we have to multiply this by 3. Let's move for hydrogen. How many hydrogens do we have? Here we have 6. Here we have only 1. How many chlorine do we have? Here we have 6, so simply multiply this by 6. So Al2S3 plus 6 HCl gives 2 AlCl3 plus 3 H2S. This is the balanced reaction. The type of this reaction is called double displacement reaction. Since two elements they are substituted, displacement reaction. The preparation of hydrogen sulfide should be carried in a well ventilated place. Ventilated place means that it's exposed to air, justified, because it has a smell similar to rotten eggs. Similar to rotten eggs. Okay, moving to question 2. This is already done. We finished most of this. Type of the reaction, we said this is a double displacement reaction since both are distributed. We have aluminum sulfide plus hydrochloric acid. You have to study the ions, you have to know the ions properly. Don't miss to know the ions, don't miss to study about the types of the different reactions. Moving to question 2. Question 2 is about studying the effect of temperature on the rate of a chemical reaction. Two effervescent tablets were added to two beakers containing cold and hot water respectively. A third tablet is added to a beaker containing warm water at middle temperature. So a stopwatch was used to measure the time taken to dissolve each tablet according to the following table. And temperature, whenever it was cold, it took about 25 minutes. When it's hot, 61 degrees, it takes about 3 minutes. What's about the middle? Between 5 and 60. Let's say. So in this table we have to fill here. This is the missing value. Referring to the given above, draw out relation between the change of temperature and the rate of the reaction. Simply can say here when the temperature was 25, the temperature was 4, the time needed was 25 minutes. When the temperature increases to 61, the time needed decreases to 3 minutes. So with temperature increase, the time for a tab to dissolve completely decreases, and consequently the rate of the chemical reaction will increase. Predict the time it would take effervescent table to dissolve at middle temperature. The time is between 3 and 25 minutes. The time is between these two values. Name the factor affecting the rate of the chemical reaction. Simply is the temperature. So the rate is temperature affect the rate of the chemical reaction. Time, it should be between the middle, between 3 minutes and between 25 minutes. Question 3. Maltose C12H22O11 is hydrolyzed in the human body in the presence of an enzyme or in the lab using sulfuric acid solution to give glucose molecule according to the following equation. Determine the molecular formula of the obtained product. Let's see here. C12H22O11 plus H2O gives 2CX, which is unknown X, HY, and O6. Let's see here. How many carbons do we have in the reactants? We have 12. Here we have 2 times X, so 2X, it's equal to 12. So X, it's equal to 12 divided by 2. It's equal to 6. Moving to Y. How many hydrogens do we have? Here we have 22 plus 2, it's a 24. So 24, it's equal to 2Y. So Y is equal to 24 divided by 2. So Y equal to 12. So the formula here is going to be 2C6H12O6. Name the elements forming maltose. Maltose contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. State the role of the sulfuric acid used in the lab. It's used as a catalyst that speeds up the chemical reaction without being consumed at the end of the reaction. They said here, give the type of the chemical reaction here. What is the type of the chemical reaction? Type is combination reaction, or simply you can say synthesis. 5. The fermentation of glucose in the absence of air and the presence of yeast give ethanol, C2H5OH, and a gas that turns lime water to be milky. Identify the released gas. What is the released gas? It turned out the lime water to be milky, so sure it's CO2, carbon dioxide. Write the word equation of the above reaction. Simply we have glucose fermented gives ethanol plus carbon dioxide. Write the balanced chemical equation of the reaction. The balanced. First, we have the glucose, which is C6, H12O6 gives C2H5OH, C2H5OH, ethanol plus CO2. Let's see how many carbons do we have here. Or let's stay here, for example, by the hydrogens and the carbons. First, we have 6 carbons here. Here we have 2, we have 1, they become 3. How many oxygens do we have? Here we have 6, and here we have 1 and 3. So in order to balance this reaction, simply you can multiply this by 2, so we have 4, and you can multiply also this by 2. Here we have how many carbons? 4 plus 2 become 6. How many hydrogens? 2 times 6, it's 12. So this is done for hydrogen. And oxygen, we have 2 plus 4, it's become 6. What is the type of the reaction? This reaction is defined as decomposition reaction. Decomposition reaction. Give the role of the yeast in the is a catalyst that not consumed at the end of the reaction. The key of another factor that affect, we can say, temperature, that affect the rate of the chemical reaction. So let's go back for the balance. C6H12O6 gives C2H5OH plus CO2. Let's start with hydrogen. Hydrogen we have 12. Here we have 5 plus 1, 6. We have to multiply this by 2. Okay. Oxygen we have 2 and 2, 4. We have simply to multiply one of these by 2. Or carbon we have 6, so we have to multiply this by 2, and by this way it's balanced. This reaction, this glucose is decomposed into ethanol and CO2, which turns lime water to be turbid. So this is the reaction here, and this is the balanced reaction. Let's see here some notes about the exam. I'm going to talk about the exam a little bit. The exam, maybe I'm going to give you reactions that you have to balance each of them. You have, for example, to write a word equation, and you have to write the balanced chemical equation. Maybe I'm going to give you X and Y. You have to know each of them. Maybe I'm going to give you a graph, and you have to know what's happening in each of these. Maybe I'm going to give you, for example, a reaction, convert the reaction into a balance, write the balance equation, what is the type of the reaction, what is the role, specify the rate, how the rate varies. All of these we mentioned here in the exam review. You're going to have a similar question to this in your exam. So study well and good luck. Bye bye.